Hey guys, welcome to a brand new video in the 5 tips series. Today we are going to be focusing on the Hardcore IronMan game mode. Now, real quick, if you don't know, Hardcore IronMan is basically you get one life, and if you die, the account gets locked forever, but there are ways to be able to keep playing on the account. If you do die, you just have to do a few things. We're going to be covering that today. We're also going to be giving you some tips and tricks to help you really get to grips with the Hardcore IronMan game mode, because trust me, it is completely different to a main account. So with all that out of the way, make sure you like and subscribe, and let's get right into it. So before we get into tip number 5, let's just quickly run through what a Hardcore IronMan is, or what the Hardcore IronMan game mode is. So like I previously mentioned, it is a game mode where the player only has one life, and if he or she dies, that's it. The account gets locked forever and you can't continue to play on it. There is also a Hardcore IronMan game mode in old school RuneScape. Yeah, there's one for each game. And while both share the same name of the game mode, they do have quite a lot of differences. For example, in old school, if you die, that's it. Like, you don't have any other ways of purchasing additional lives, but you do get to keep the account and continue to play it as a regular IronMan. But the same can't be said for RuneScape 3, where if you die without any extra lives, you lose the account completely. It gets locked and you can't continue to play on it. That being said, you do have the ability to purchase extra lives and to purchase items that allow you to keep playing on the account if you do die. And when I say purchase, I don't mean with real life money, I do mean with in-game currency. No microtransactions here, guys. So with the obvious added risks of playing as a Hardcore IronMan, it can be a great way to mix up the game. Say if you're a max player or a completionist player, you're getting tired of that end-game content like I was. This is the boat I was in. You get tired of that end-game content and you want something to sort of spice up the game a bit, because you may or you may not be getting a little bit bored of the game overall. So that's why I started playing on my Hardcore IronMan, and trust me, it is absolutely revitalized my love for this game, and I'm completely addicted again. I can't stop playing on my hardcore. So I mean, if you are one of those players, I highly suggest, if not starting a hardcore, definitely starting just a regular IronMan, because it is a lot of fun. So guys, coming in at number 5 is eating up or keeping your HP as high as possible in combat situations. I know it sounds like it might be an obvious one, but these tips are pointed towards the newer players to the Hardcore IronMan game mode, not so much the veteran players of the Hardcore IronMan game mode, but more people looking to, maybe they want to dip their toes into it for the first time and experience it for themselves. The amount of times that you will actually forget that you're a Hardcore IronMan is pretty ridiculous. Like, just take my word for it. If you're a new Hardcore IronMan, you'll forget. It'll slip your mind from time to time that you actually can't die. So I would highly suggest keeping your HP as high as possible at all times. Just be super aware of it, and you'll save yourself a lot of heartache. Coming in at number 4, guys, is overestimating your fights. I know that sounds weird. Usually it's, underestimating your fights, but that's exactly what you don't want to do. You don't want to underestimate your fight. Even if you think that you can easily kill the boss of the quest or whatever it is you're fighting, just go back and train your stats up that little bit more. Seriously, over prepare and overestimate every single encounter that you go into, and you'll find yourself being a lot more confident and calm in, whatever it is you're fighting. Usually it will be quest bosses in most cases, but yeah, it is much better to be over prepared and, just completely cream the boss than to be, completely underprepared and just get your booty cheeks slapped, and then you're back to being a regular IronMan, or even worse, you just completely lose the account. And I know that's something that nobody wants to have happen, so just go and make sure you're completely and utterly ready for, whatever it is you're fighting. And yeah, you'll have a good time. Alright guys, tip number 3 is purchasing the Jar of Divine Light. So the Jar of Divine Light is an item that can be purchased by Hardcore IronMen or Hardcore Ironwomen from Mr. X in Edgeville, just located northeast of the Edgeville Lodestone. And purchasing it allows the Hardcore Ironman to downgrade to a regular IronMan at any given time. But what most people buy it for is the ability to, to reclaim your account once you die. So if you die in Hardcore IronMan mode while having this jar purchased, you will downgrade to a regular IronMan account and you'll be able to continue playing the game, and you won't lose any progress at all. So it says here on the wiki, the item will be activated automatically if the player dies in Hardcore IronMan mode to downgrade the player to a regular IronMan mode. If a player has purchased a Divine Coin or Divine Coins, they will be used before the jar. And what Divine Coins are is you buy them from Mr. X as well, and they are basically just extra lives. I'm not going to include Divine Coins as an extra tip because, they can just be mentioned along with the Jar of Divine Light, which I'm doing now. What you can also do is go to Mr. X and have him seal the jar, which will prevent it from being opened by you, the player. It will only be opened if you die. So, I mean, if you don't want to accidentally, I'm not sure how you would accidentally open it, but if you don't want to accidentally open it, or you're a bit worried about that, go and have Mr. X seal it, in quotes, seal the jar, and the only way it'll be activated is if you die, and you'll be converted back to a regular Iron Man account. It's just a nice way of being that little bit extra secure that, you know, you're not going to lose the entire fucking account when you die. So this is right up there for me. I highly suggest you go and buy this. It's only 100k as well, so it doesn't take that long to save up for a new account. Alright guys, tip number 2 is a bit of a no-brainer. It is playing like a hardcore Iron Man. And you might be thinking, what the hell do you mean by that? Well, let me explain. You're not playing a main account anymore. You're playing a hardcore Iron Man. You've got 1 life, and then kaput, that's it, you're done. So as RuneScape, at least to most of us, is a fairly laid back game where you can, you know, you can not pay the most attention to it and still make great achievements within the game. You can't really do that on a hardcore. You have to be very, very attentive, a lot more than you would on, say, a main account. This tip is also going to have like sort of some sub tips in it. It's sort of like tip 2 and then 2.B, 2C, 2D sort of thing. So, as I said, adapt the hardcore Iron Man play style, be overly attentive and overly cautious at all times, don't really get too laid back, and something that I highly suggest that you do is get a Ring of Life as early as possible, and wear it just all the fucking time. Don't take that ring off at all, because you don't know when a DC could seriously fuck you up. That Ring of Life could save your status. They're relatively easy to get on a low level account, as you only need 43 crafting and 57 magic to craft them, but you can also get one by completing the Lost Tribe quest, which is a relatively easy quest to complete for low levels. But trust me, get one of these rings as soon as possible and never take it off. Another thing that falls into the adapting the hardcore Iron Man playstyle is a little bit subjective, this one. Like, you can sort of decide where you draw the line on this one. It is a very blurred line, and it varies from person to person. In the unfortunate event that you do die and you lose your status, I'm sure you can agree with me when I say that you would much rather die to, like, a boss monster or something where, you know, there was a decent chance that you might die because you were doing, you know, high risk, high reward sort of situation. You would feel a lot better dying in that situation than you would for something really stupid like going into the wilderness to complete a clue scroll where you are likely to only get maybe a 70 or 80k reward. I mean, so that varies from person to person. Like, someone else would consider going into the wilderness to complete a clue to be, you know, well worth the risk. You know, that they understand the risks, but they also, you know, understand the potential rewards from completing that clue scroll. They might be happy to risk their account, but someone else might not. So it's up to you to evaluate those situations, and once again, that also ties back into being a very aware player when you're playing this game mode. Alright guys, and tip number 1, the final tip of this video, is to always have a one-click teleport in your inventory at all times. I mean, a one-click teleport is preferred, but I mean, as long as you've got some sort of teleport out in a sticky situation, like a very easy one to obtain for low-level accounts is the RD Cloak 1. But I mean, even sacrificing 3 inventory slots for a lore rune, some air runes, and some fire runes just for a teleport back to Varrock, if you get into a sticky situation, it would be well worth it over losing your status. It's a very good habit to get into as a hardcore Iron Man. There are a lot of things that you should make habit for while playing a hardcore Iron Man, that being one of them. Remember, you're playing a hardcore Iron Man, there is no such thing as being too careful. That phrase literally doesn't exist in this game mode. You can't possibly be too careful. Another great teleport to have for low level Iron Men is the Ectofile. Not only is this a one-click teleport, so you don't have to right click and then click teleport, just left click it and you're out of there. It also teleports you relatively close to a bank. I mean, not super close, but I mean, shit, if you're like low on food and you're poisoned, you can hit the Ectofile and it's maybe like a 15 or 20 second run to the bank, so you've got a relatively high chance of survival in that situation. If you're a fan of using house tabs, then I would highly suggest using the teleport to your player-owned house tab, or just, you know, the house tab teleport is what they call it. Because say if you're poisoned, another example is if you teleport to your house and then you immediately die after you teleport, it actually doesn't count as a death. It's a safe death if you die in your player-owned house. So you teleport back to your house, you get clapped by the poison, you die, nothing happens. You still have your hardcore Iron Man status, which is the main thing. Alright guys, well that's going to do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you took something out of it. If you're like a new hardcore Iron Man player, I hope I helped you in some way. If I did, make sure to leave a like, and if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe. Also, just a quick little disclaimer. I know I've probably put this at the start of the video, but whatever. I don't consider myself like a sort of like elite hardcore Iron Man player. I am actually relatively new to the game mode myself. I've been playing it for a few months now, but these are just sort of some of the things that I've sort of picked up on, and I just sort of wanted to share with you guys. If any of you have started playing the Hardcore Iron Man game mode, I just thought I'd share my views on it and give you some sort of tips to help you get started. But yeah, guys, with all that out of the way, my name is Sano. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you in the next one. See you guys.